Hello, good evening, and welcome. Or as they say in Greece, now watch me mess this up, kalopagima, which is welcome. And that ends the foreign language portion of our show tonight. I'm Margaret Stevens Reed. I'm Director of Donor Relations here at Valley Life. And with me in our homemade studio, I've got Ann Polinsky and Stephen DiGiacomo. Ann is our grant writer, and Steve is our IT manager, and he's the one that's making sure that we're all running. The show is running tonight. So if you're cooking with me, be sure to heat those ovens to 425 degrees because we're going to need them in just a little while. How many people do we have with us tonight so far? Just a few people with us. Hopefully they'll tune in. But I'm just going to go ahead and start in there because we have a wonderful evening planned. This is a Legacy Circle event, and Leave a Legacy is a public awareness campaign designed to inspire people like you to make a charitable planned gift that will be distributed sometime in the future. We'd like to encourage you to consider leaving 10% of your estate to a charitable organization like Valley Life or other organizations that you value. At Valley Life, we have a group of 14 individuals and/or couples who have named Valley Life as one of their beneficiaries, and these donors are members of our Legacy Circle. We try to do 1 or 2 Legacy Circle events a year, and this year, we had to be creative, thus our virtual trip. So thank you for joining us this evening. Now remember, I cannot see you, I cannot hear you, so use chat. Be sure to include your name because I'd like to know who's out there and asking questions, and we'll try to respond to you in a timely fashion. So with that, we are ready to hit the friendly skies. This evening we'll start with an in-flight entertainment which features a cooking session with me, which is Margaret's foodie tour. And then in Greece, Sarah and Phil Mastoris, who happen to be Legacy Circle members, will take us on a tour of a few islands. So please, fasten your seatbelts, return your seat backs and folding tables to their full upright position. Tonight we will be flying over water, but I don't think you'll need any flotation devices. But at any time, if we start to lose air pressure, pray, because something's going really wrong with this. So with that, let's get ready to cook. We're going to start with our salmon and our chicken if you have chicken instead. And here's our salmon. And what you're going to need is 1 piece of parchment paper. And I have to tell you that if a recipe doesn't include parchment paper, I'm not making it. So you're going to pat your salmon dry. I hope I'm not going to go too fast. I hope you're following along. And put 1 piece, kind of a little off center, on each piece of parchment paper. Great. Then you're going to salt and pepper each piece. Yeah, I can't have too much pepper. And then we're going to rub tremolo sauce all over it. And this is a combination. I included the recipe in the invitation, but it's made up of different spices and parsley and some preserved lemon and some peppers and chilies, and it's just going to make it oh so good. So here we go. So let me tell you a story about salmon. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, and there's at least 5 kinds of salmon, and you're used to, when you go to a restaurant, them telling you what's on the menu, what kind of salmon they're serving. So then I moved to the East Coast, and we go out, and they have salmon, and I asked the waitress. She says, well, it's salmon. I said, well, what kind of salmon? And she looks at me, and I kid you not, and says, from the ocean. I'm like, what? But on the Atlantic, they only have one kind. It looks like Atlantic salmon. So I learned a lesson there. So now we're going to take our salmon or chicken and fold it up really tight in the parchment paper. And then seal it, the ends under, and put it on your baking sheet. So like I said, I have Anne and Stephen here with me tonight, so that's why I'm doing 3 pieces. Okay, and one more. Kind of got this way off center. That's all right. All right, then we're going to put in the oven for about 11 minutes. So I need somebody to time 11 minutes for me. All right. So I've got a mess going here. So the next thing we're going to do is start on our salad. And we're going to start with our lemons. I've got 3 lemons here. And I was at Sprouts yesterday and found this thing. It's called a sweet lime. Isn't that adorable looking? So I cut one open to show you what it looks like. It looks like this. It doesn't look like it has many seeds in it. And I tasted it. It tastes more like a mandarin orange. So it is very sweet. I'm not going to use that tonight because I want something with a little more bite for our dressing. So our first lemon, we're going to cut it from end to end and do half of it a couple of slices, and that will serve with our fish dish later. And then we're going to juice our lemons. So my sister and I had a conversation about, I never remember which way this goes, what kind of juicer. And I decided that, let me take the end off of this, that I was going to use 2. Got away from me. When I was practicing, I cut the lemon and it squirted me right in my face. So hopefully we won't have that happen tonight. Okay. And then I went and used this, and that really worked. Okay, so if you're cooking along with me, go ahead and get those lemons juiced. When I was talking to Phil and Sarah about Greece, and I was asking them about the food, he said that he loved everything they ate and that it was really, really fresh and colorful. So that's what this menu tonight is based on. It's going to be very flavorful and very colorful. All right. Okay, one more to go. Some of the juice is going to go in our salad and some is going to go in our dressing. So we might as well just squeeze it all at one time. All right. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our garlic. 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. I'm going to use 3 because I like garlic. Now take it out. Take the end off. Put that in the garbage bowl there. It's so quiet. I need like music playing or somebody singing a song or something. All right. We're going to cut it, mince it, do whatever you need to do to make it a little small. Okay. And I'm going to add that to our bowl. All right. So we're going to add some fresh mint to our salad. I've got a little herb garden going. So as I chop this, as I got the mint for this, I pulled some extra herbs also just because they needed to be used. So I'm going to throw, in mine, I'm going to throw a little bit of basil in too. All right, into the bowl. All right. Now we're going to use a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, known as EVOO. And normally I wouldn't be measuring this. I would just toss it in there and say, yeah, that looks good. And a tablespoon of our lemon juice. Okay. Put a tablespoon of red wine vinegar. All right. And about a teaspoon of dried oregano. And I don't think that's quite a teaspoon, but that's what I had on hand. And a little salt. In this case, I'm using some sea salt. And a little pepper. And I'm going to mix it up. Okay. So now, I'll clean off my board. How's my timer? Okay. So we're going to cut up our tomatoes. I've got English tomato, cucumber here that I'm going to use. I'm going to throw that in. And then I was at Costco and found these little mini cucumbers. I don't know why I keep saying tomatoes. Cucumbers. So I'm going to use these two. And all kinds of shapes going on. Okay. I'm going to add a couple more, a little more cucumber. Can't go wrong with cucumber. Okay. And then we're going to chop up our tomatoes. Now, I'm not going to add the tomatoes quite yet because Anne doesn't eat tomatoes, and I want to mix the salad, and then I'll add our tomatoes after I get everything mixed and pull her portion out of here. But these are cute. These were called sparkles. They're little tiny tomatoes, so I'm not going to cut those. I am going to slice these in half. And I just love that tomatoes are so many different colors, shapes. So I'll be adding these in a minute. Okay, now onion. You can use red onion or sweet onion. I'm going to use a little of both. I'm going to dice the red onion. Just a little bit. The skin off. Yeah, this never happens when you look at other people cooking. professional. They don't pay me for this. Okay. They say if you put onion, you cut onion and put it in water and let it soak for about 15 minutes, and it takes some of the bite out of it. I don't know that to be true, but somebody said that. And then this one, I think I'm just going to cut it into strips. So I said this salad's going to have all kinds of different shapes in it, and that's what it's going to do. Okay. Again, keep mixing it up. Oh, this is looking so good. Oh my gosh, I'm hungry. All right. I've got some avocado here. You don't have to put avocado. If you don't like avocado, don't use avocado. This is one of those salads where put what you want in. Let's use this half. It's so quiet. I see I got a response. Oh, thanks, Cletus. Because I look marvelous in my new apron. Come on out of there. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Okay, totally making a mess of this. You could add your feta cheese at this time. I bought like a solid feta cheese, so I'm going to slice it and put it on top of the whole salad. Oh, what I'm forgetting are my olives. You can't go to Greece and not do olives, right? Got all the color all over my pan. So let's drain that. Add some. Okay. Great. Okay, has it been 11 minutes? All right. There we go. And get this out of the oven. Oh my goodness, it looks marvelous. I'm gonna sit this up here for right now. We'll come back to it. All right, I'm gonna mix this up and take out Anne's portion. And then I'm going to add the tomatoes for Stephen and I. Mix this up. Look how colorful that looks. Okay, so I'm going to put those over there for now. And now we're going to start on the dressing. You can use a bowl. I'm going to use a jar. This is what I like to use. When we make this dressing, it'll last for about a week in the refrigerator. So I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of tahini, which is my new favorite thing. I put it on everything. Turn this around so I can see. And I just realized what's going wrong. I don't have my glasses on. Maybe this would help a little better. Okay, and a 1/4 cup of olive oil. add it to my jar. Truly making a mess here. That's all right. All right. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. I'm using a half a teaspoon, so I'm going to use 4 of these. And normally I would not be measuring this, but everybody says, well, how much? So I figured it out. All right. And 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And we might add some more if you wanted to have more of a little zest to it. A half a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to use kosher salt. Some pepper to taste. I'll just do a little bit of that. And 2 teaspoons of honey, which is, I don't know how we're eyeballing this. This would kind of help cut the tahini a little bit. Because some people can think it's a little bitter. All right, and we're going to shake it up, and then we'll add our water. Or use your whisk. Okay, so you can see it's kind of thick. It's kind of like a mustard at this time. Now, I like my salad dressing more like an oil and vinegar base. So I am going to use, where's my tablespoon? I don't know what I did with it. Anyway, I'll use this. I'm going to add a little bit of ice water, and it's the ice water that helps break down the tahini. Oh, there it is. And then shake it. And then taste it. I think it still needs more ice water. I'm going to add some more lemon juice to this. And a little water. Okay, let's see what we have here. I've made it too tight. And I totally can't open it. You hand it off stage, and then somebody opens it for you. Oh, well, live TV, right? Okay, so I'm going to pour a little in our dressing. And now we're going to get ready to plate it. Okay, so let's talk grains. For this salad, you can use couscous, rice, quinoa. I use bulgur here. And normally I would have cooked it in a chicken broth, but Anne's vegetarian, so I used a vegetable broth today. And this meal is so great. You can serve it in a bowl, and as a salad. And this is the perfect meal for entertaining, especially for lunch, because you can do everything the day ahead, chill everything, and just serve it all together, and you haven't put that much effort into it. So I am going to do Anne's like a salad. And I'm going to do Stephen's like a meal. So I probably would have heated up the grains. They're room temperature right now. Making a mess on the plate. And I'm one of those people that don't like my food to touch, so I'm going to do mine kind of separately with the grains here. So you'll get to see it all different kinds of ways. All right. So let me move this out of the way, and I'm going to bring the salmon over. See what we have here. Okay. Now, if you're doing it as a salad, oh, look at this. Oh my God, it's perfect. Just perfect. I'm going to put this on top of your grains. And then I keep losing. Oh, there it is. Thank you. Put your salad on either side of it. And serve it with your dressing. So there you go, Anne. I don't know, I've got this one, Stephen. Oh, look at it. Right. And then his salad goes right on top of the grains. His dressing. Okay. Go ahead and put this in. And then mine. What do they say in Greece? Oppa, right? This looks, oh my gosh. I always say I'm just going to make a little, and look how much I have here. This on the side. Voila. Very good. Oh my gosh. Give me a moment to get rid of this. Oh, it's kind of warm. Thank you, Anne. It's nice to be cooking and just have these random hands helping you out. So, all right. That ends the cooking session portion of this flight. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Valley Life Virtual Airlines, welcome to Athens, Greece, where the local time is 2:58 a.m. Or, as we like to say at Valley Life Virtual Airlines, all our bags are packed. We're ready to go. We're sitting here, ready to explore, hoping that our Wi-Fi doesn't freeze. We're traveling virtually. Only way to see Grace safely. Phil and Sarah, take it away. Join me in welcoming Sarah and Phil Mastoris.
Boy, I don't know. I hope our voices aren't drowned out by the sound of my tummy rumbling after all that. All I can think about is what's for dinner here. Well, what is for dinner here, Sarah?
Nothing nearly as exciting.
Thank you.
Oh dear.
So tell us about Greece. How long ago did you take the trip?
We were over there in June 2019. So it's been too long since we've been traveling. So we're itching to get on the next plane.
Yes. Yes.
So tell us about Greece.
All right. So on our journey. All right, hang on, guys. We got a glitch. We got a glitch.
There we go.
There we go.
So we thought we'd put in a map of Greece for those not so familiar with the country, just to show you where we went. We flew into Athens, the capital here, and neither of us had spent any time on mainland Greece, and we really wanted to go and see the monasteries at Meteora. So we hired a taxi and a driver, and he drove us to Delphi, which is on the way to the monasteries, which is up in this part of the country. And then he brought us back down again. And then we wanted to go to Santorini in particular. It's been on both of our bucket lists for quite a long time. But we also wanted to go and revisit the traditional Greece of our memories of 30 years ago. So we got a ferry to Sifnos, and these are all the islands of the Cyclades. This is one island group.
That's an archipelago of about 220 islands, right?
Correct, yes. So we spent about a week on Sifnos, and then we went over to Amorgos here. Another week we spent here, and then we ended up in Santorini, which was the only one of the 3 islands that had an airport. So then we flew back to Athens. So that sort of gives you an idea of where we went. So we got a bit of mainland Greece and the good old island jive. So it was very, ticked a lot of boxes for us.
All right, so we are traveling northwest to Delphi. And this is the scenery that we traveled through going northwest of Athens. It's beautiful. It's really mountainous, very rugged. As I understand, most of the Greek mainland is mountainous like this. So we're headed to Delphi. And occupation of Delphi dates back over 3,000 years. There was a fissure in the area that was said to produce sudden trances when one stood over it. And it's been found that certain gases are produced there due to moving tectonic plates and an underground spring, which is located there. At the time, it was thought, and again, this was 3,000 years ago, it was thought that one could commune with God when they were in this trance-like state. Many worshippers came to the area and built the temple of Apollo over this fissure. This is a picture of what's still standing from the temple. At this time in Greece, everything was controlled by men. Men filled all the highest positions in society. But it was felt that to commune with God, things might go better if it was conducted by a chaste and honest young virgin. So once a month, people came from far and wide to consult this woman, and she was called the Oracle. People asked her all kinds of questions, and the oracle's response was always deliberately ambiguous, so that no matter what the outcome, the oracle could never be faulted. Does that sound familiar? One example was that when the king of Lydia asked the oracle if he should attack Persia, the oracle responded, "If you cross the river, a great empire will be destroyed." Well, unfortunately, the great empire that was destroyed was his. Now, people paid very well for the privilege to commune with God, and this brought great wealth to Delphi, which led to artistic festivals and strength and endurance contests called the Pythian Games. These were held at the amphitheater in Delphi. We'll click to the amphitheater. And this is the precursor to the Olympic Games, which we all know today. So the interesting thing about this is that for nearly 1,000 years, the position of perhaps the greatest political and social influence in the ancient world was occupied by a woman.
So this is the leftover part of the amphitheatre, a little bit more of the temple.
This is where they held the foot races. So this is kind of, if you think about the original Olympic Games, this is where it all started.
Wow.
And then they had a fabulous museum there, but the thing of most interest really is the charioteer of Delphi, thought to be one of the finest examples of bronze sculpture from ancient Greece, and created, they think, about 2,500 years ago. So it's amazing that it has survived in such great condition.
Now, unfortunately, he was in a chariot with horses, but the charioteer is the only thing that exists today. It would have been fabulous to see the entire sculpture in one piece.
Yeah.
So this is just the remaining portion of the.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. The chariot and the horses are long gone. Now, they do have a recreation of what they think it looked like, which is very interesting, but this is all that's left of the original.
Because after the ancient Greeks left, of course, then the Romans came and pillaged everything.
You've frozen, Phil. You're still frozen. Hopefully they'll be back. But this happens. When we tried it out, it froze once or twice, but it came back. So it's at their end. But meanwhile, we're sitting here having dinner. Am I on at the moment, Stephen? Okay. So I wanted to show you what the salmon look like. There they are. Well, they were back.
Oh, are we back?
Yeah,
Can you
now
hear
you're
us?
back.
And you see all right, so we're going to go to this photo here. Can you see the picture?
We see the sun. There it is. Yes.
Okay.
Yes?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So the Meteora is a rock formation hosting one of the largest and most precipitously built complexes of Eastern Orthodox monasteries in the world. The monks originally lived in caves around the area, but built the monasteries in about the 14th century to avoid the increasing number of attacks from the Turks and the Ottomans. You can see 3 of the remaining 6 monasteries, 1, 2, 3, and there were 24, I think, and
Yes,
only 6 left, 4 of whom are occupied by monks and 2 by nuns. But it's a spectacular country, and I'll see some more examples of it.
So the monasteries are built right on top of the rock, and they go right to the very edge. It's pretty impressive.
How far
wouldn't
can
want
you,
to step off the patio.
how far can you drive up there? How close can you get without having to walk?
Well, a couple of them are, the road comes up very, very close these days, but some of them there are quite a lot of steps.
So there's a painting of the monks, and you can see the monasteries on the rocks in the background. But we'll show you a few more pictures here. Oh, that's the real deal. Now, that's one of the real monks. That's what they look like. They're
And the monasteries only have just a few. I mean, 4 or 6 monks or nuns. It's a very, very small community in each of the monasteries.
Are there any young monks?
we did not see it. So these are some of the vestments that they use in the ceremonies and things. They're some of these priceless artifacts that are stored in the monasteries and are on display.
It's beautiful.
So this gives you an idea of, you can see 2 of the monasteries. Most of these you have to walk up steps. As Sarah said, a couple of them are a little
Well, we lost you. Lost you again. There you're back, I think.
Are we back?
Yes.
Yeah. So some of these are quite spectacular locations that you do have to climb to up steps, but some are. This one you can drive closer to.
Yeah, I think the
You'd have to walk all the way up that cliff, fortunately.
No.
Inside the monasteries are beautiful. They have beautiful gardens, beautiful architecture. They're really spectacular once you're up there and inside the grounds.
Now, if you go to visit them, can you stay up there? Or
No,
is it just a day trip? Okay.
There's no accommodation available.
No, there's a town nearby, and that's where we stayed overnight. Which worked out really well, actually, because we saw the monasteries in the evening before they closed, and then in the morning as well. So they're all quite close by to one another. And the driver was very good at sort of, well, we need to go to this one next. And he knew all the opening and closing times, and he was very good.
Was there a fee to get in?
Yes, but it was very minimal.
Yeah, not bad at all. So this is a surreptitious photo because you're not supposed to take pictures inside, but I did take one cell phone picture just because I had to show how intricate the painting is. It's all gold leaf. It's really, really beautiful.
It is.
There's beautiful wood carving, beautiful silver work. It's really spectacular inside these chapels.
There's no shortage of money in the Greek Orthodox Church.
No. So this is a device that they use to get the monks up and down. Basically, they put the monk in a little basket, and they just kind of went round and round and wound the rope up, and that's how they got to the top. But the interesting thing is to think how they built these things in the first place. They obviously had to bring all of the building materials up this way in the 14th century. So, it's quite mind-boggling to think about how this was created.
And it also meant that they couldn't all leave at the same time.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. So it's a little easier today. They have walkways and stairs that you climb, so you don't have to be pulled up in a basket at least. So now we're headed back to Athens.
Yeah, and we had to spend a night in Athens because the ferry left early in the morning. We tend not to spend much time in big crazy cities as much as we can, but actually it was lovely. We were staying near this square, the Monastiraki Square, and our hotel had a great view of the Parthenon, which is the temple built for the Greek goddess Athena, which is located on the Acropolis overlooking Athens, of course. Everyone's familiar with that. It was built in 438 BC.
Wow.
Evening view from the terrace of our hotel with our little drink. So then early in the morning, we set off for Sipnos.
Very early. Too early. Yes, we got on a ferry and we headed across the Sipnos. It was about 4 hours, wasn't it?
So this is sunrise, not sunset, huh?
Yeah, that's right. And we got to the island of Sipnos. Now, on Sipnos, there's a village called Pharos, and we're staying at the kind of a little farm hotel bed and breakfast place on the other side of that hill behind. It was about a 15-minute walk into the village, wasn't it?
Yeah. The remit to the travel agent was that we wanted to stay in a very traditional little fishing village, which had the feel of, you know, the old days, which is how we remember it from previous visits, and Sifnos just fit the bill.
So Sifnos is famous for the number of churches. It's a small island, but it has 360 churches, almost one church for every day of the year. And they sit on every hilltop, as far as you can see, and there's a lot in the valleys as well. This is the Church of the Seven Martyrs, which is quite spectacular.
They really are all over the place, and a lot of them very small, just sort of family run.
So all different sizes, all different shapes.
So those are two separate churches.
Yes, yeah, those are a couple out of the 360. The other thing that Sifnos is famous for is pottery.
And on the here was a potter who'd been on the island forever, and we bought a few souvenirs from him.
But, yeah, they have a lot of clay on the island, and they've always been very, very famous potters for thousands of years. And they're part of the architecture in Sifnos involves these chimney pots, which are called floros, and they're designed to keep the rain out of your chimney but let the smoke out. They all have 3 openings. They're all different designs. Everyone is unique, and they're very, very interesting to kind of just wander around and look at the tops of all the chimneys and see what people have done.
And of course, a lot of them use them for, a lot of people use them for lanterns and decoration.
Yeah, these days they've sort of become sort of multi-purpose items, haven't they? Not just chimneys. Yeah. And cats. On every island in Greece, there are thousands of stray cats, and most of them are pretty well fed because people put food out for them, and food and water. So they're in pretty good condition, most of them. But if you don't like cats, don't go to Greece because they're
Well, are they friendly?
Yes, very friendly, as long as you're feeding them. No, we didn't have any cats. We didn't have any aggressive cats. They were all very nice and friendly.
Yes, they were.
That's not a cat. Sarah, that's not a cat.
No.
That's our resident goat that we had down the lane from where we stayed.
The other thing that Sifnos is known for is the terraced farming that they do. It's very agricultural. Apart from the pottery, you've got agriculture, and of course you've got fishing. And the white building is a dovecote, which is also found a lot through the Cyclades Islands. But we were there, as I say, we were there in June, and the yellow, just the spring flowers, they were really abundant.
Yeah, they used dovecotes to raise doves and pigeons. They used them not only to eat, but they also used them for fertilizer. So you get these little houses full of, bird droppings, and then they would put that on the fields. So we were very fortunate to be there in their springtime, and they had some rain. So there were lovely, lovely wildflowers everywhere. And it was just gorgeous to hike on these trails. They have trails all over the island that are very well marked. You can walk from village to village. It's lovely. A lot of the trails go between these dry stone walls, through the olive orchards. And you can hear the tinkling of the bells in the distance, because most of the goats wear bells around their necks on leather thongs, and so you can always hear the tinkling in the distance. It's lovely.
And of course, these islands, they don't have very much traffic, so I mean, you really only hear the noise of nature, especially on these hiking trails.
You've always got the ocean in the distance.
Gorgeous.
This is one of our favorite walks, where we would walk from Faros to Castro. Our favorite village was Castro, so this is
Are those olive trees?
Yes, these are all olive trees in the background. Yes.
Yeah.
And as I said, just wildflowers of all different types, colors, and sizes and shapes.
Oh, that's gorgeous. There's a question for you, Phil.
Uh-huh.
What's the agricultural crop?
It's a very good question.
Probably olives.
Yeah, a lot of olives, but a lot of the fields were fallow. They were just wildflowers, just full of basically weeds and wildflowers. We did see some crops, but we didn't know exactly what they were. We'll tell you about this crop,
Okay.
but a lot of because of the language on these small islands, a lot of the farmers don't speak English, so we didn't have an opportunity to interact with farmers and say, what are you growing? And of course, we're both city folk, so we couldn't tell just by looking, unfortunately. But we did come across this farmer, and he was picking and filling a bag of all these buds that he was picking off this plant. And we'd seen the plant all over the island. It's a beautiful plant. It looks like this. It almost looks like a clematis flower. But he was picking these buds and putting them in a plastic bag, and we were trying to find out what he was doing. And the only thing that we got out of the conversation is he kept saying Kapari, Kapari, and we had no idea what that meant.
Uh-huh.
Until we had a salad one day and decided that Kapari meant the same thing as capers. So when you have capers on a salad, this is the plant they come from. They pick the bud and they dry it. They put it in a box on the roof. I was up on a couple of roofs and I saw boxes full of these. They dry them in the sun and then they obviously pickle them in some way. And that's what you get on your traditional Greek salad.
Oh, wow. That salad looks great.
Yeah, it was nice, very nice. I'm sure no better than yours, Margaret. I'm sure.
Well, let me tell you, it's tasting pretty good over here.
I bet it is, yes.
I'm fantasizing about it. And then obviously fish. There's a lot of fish, although not as much as there used to be. Unfortunately, the waters have been overfished in a lot of areas of Europe, and it's become quite expensive. The days of cheap fish, a nice cheap fish dinner, are long gone. We were surprised at the prices.
Well, the last time we were in Greece, they were not on the euro, so that's.
Here's your traditional Greek fisherman with his Greek fisherman's cap. We saw a few of those. Your fishing boats generally tend to be small things.
Now, will they take you out fishing?
They probably would if you paid them. I don't go anywhere near boats if I can avoid it. I get seasick just thinking about boats. So I even cringed having to get on the ferries. We were lucky and it was quite smooth, but I was taking Dramamine and using wristbands and everything else I could think of. So yeah, I don't ask to go on boats any more than I have to.
Well, and also you have the choice of the islands that are only accessible by ferry. You have the choice of a ferry or like more of a catamaran high-speed ferry, which can cut the journey time down by about half, but of course you do pay for that. So we did pay for that.
Yeah, we took, it was like Phil wanted to be on and off that boat as quick as possible. Anyway, we had grilled octopus, which was lovely, really lovely. You see the salad over here with the feta cheese on top. And I can't remember what these greens were. That it was something odd like marigold, although it's not marigold, but it's something that you just wouldn't imagine. And they were very, very good. It was some sort of edible flower leaf, but I just don't recall what they told me it was.
So what did the octopus taste like?
It's like squid. It's like grilled squid. Yeah, very similar.
But that was in a little restaurant in Forest. You know, you just can't pick a nicer spot to have lunch after a hike.
Look at that. That's gorgeous.
And your bread's always fresh out of the oven. You know, it's really very simple fare, but everything's fresh and very tasty, and it can't be beat. This was our favorite fish restaurant, where you would go in and point to the fish in the freezer, or not, well, not the freezer, but it had just been caught that morning, so it wasn't frozen, but it was in the refrigerator. You'd pick out the one you wanted, and they'd take it away and bring it back the way you wanted it cooked.
Yeah, they'd weigh it and they'd charge you per weight.
Kind of like dim sum.
So I guess, yeah. So this is the monastery at Panagia at Chrysopiae. It houses the icon of Panagia that was found by fishermen floating in the sea. The icon's believed to have protected the island from many dangers over the years. And once a year there's a festival to celebrate the icon, and many people come to honor it at the monastery. The icon's also carried to every village on the island so that everybody gets to view it.
So the monastery here is decorated up for this festival because we just happen to be there.
Yeah, it wouldn't normally have all the flags, but it does sit on this little island. You can see the bridge. It has a tiny little bridge over on the right that you access the island by. And these are the monks carrying the icon from village to village. And we've decided this guy on the right must be Greek Secret Service or somebody. The festival. We went over in the evening, and lots of free food, and you know, hundreds of people.
Yeah, people are lining up on that upper level to kiss the icon, which of course they won't have been doing this past year.
No. Not unless they were masked and sanitized and everything else.
This is the main town on the island of Sifnos. This is Apollonia. It's the sort of capital city. You can't really call it a city though. It's not really.
No.
So this is what we wanted to see in Greece. We saw this 30 years ago, and we said, "Oh, there's no way we'll see anybody riding a burro these days." But on a couple of these little fishing islands, they still travel this way. Some of the farmers use burros for transportation, and we were very pleased to see that that still existed.
This is the village of Castro, which used to be the capital of the island, right on the coast. There's another view of it. Used to be a walled city.
Yeah, they used to have a wall with 6 gates, but there's not a lot of the wall left anymore. But what they did do in these villages, they used to have a lot of marauding pirates that would come in and, you know, rape and pillage and whatnot. And so they built these villages with these little tiny streets that are very confusing, and they're designed to be confusing so that they slow any invaders down. They go left, right, up, down, all around, and once you're in these little tiny villages, oftentimes it's very hard to find your way out. It's surprising how quickly you get lost.
Fortunately, they're small, so.
Yeah.
So were the ceilings as low as they looked back on the other page?
Yes, and you will see some doors that are even lower. I think, again, you know, they have these short doorways to slow you down as you're coming through the door. It gives you a good opportunity to whack the invader over the head as he comes through, you know.
And you know, a lot of these villages have been inhabited for thousands of years, so the architecture probably hasn't changed a lot.
And the people were shorter to begin with back then as well. So.
Yeah. This was when you could get together with friends at a restaurant.
I remember those days.
Yeah, maybe we'll get there soon.
Yes.
Anyway, we really liked Castro. It was a great little place to explore, and we had found a wonderful place for breakfast. We had fresh squeezed orange juice and fresh lemonade and pastries right out of the oven. It was spectacular.
Mm.
So we are headed out of Sifnos and we're on our way to the island of Amorgus. So these are the high-speed ferries that they use, and they're very smooth and very clean and modern. And we didn't feel, seasick or anything. Fortunately, it was a very smooth ride.
So how long was the ride?
They were about 3.5, 4 hours
Okay.
average. And as I say, that's with the high-speed ferry. A lot longer if you take the regular ferry.
And I think actually our ferry trip from Sifnos to Amorgus, that was the longest ferry trip that we did. And we stopped off at an island.
A couple islands, didn't we? Yeah.
Well, and we got off the ferry.
Yeah, we had like a layover on one island for about an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, so just got a drink and.
This is our no-nonsense Greek captain. He's the sort of guy you want controlling. So we're in Amorgus now. This is the beach where we stayed. It was just pristine, absolutely the most beautiful, clear water, very warm water. The beach didn't have a bit of rubbish anywhere. It was so clean. And you can see the nearest town, which is a town called Ayali, which is about a 15-minute walk from where we stayed.
Just along the beach.
This is Ayali again. You can see the fisherman mending his net down there in the bottom corner.
It looks like there's a storm coming.
That first day, yeah, it was a bit stormy. It was just cloud. We didn't have any rain or anything. We had some great light.
Yeah, and Amorgus was more mountainous than Sifnos, higher mountains. So of course that attracted cloud more.
Fishing in all forms, basically.
And look at the windmill.
Well, and actually talking about agriculture, I mean, later on, they certainly produce grain.
Yeah, they have a lot of windmills that they used originally to grind grain, so there were a lot of grain, different types of grain. This is Ioli again. It's not a very big place, but it was very charming. Little coffee shops and tea houses and outdoor restaurants. These are the fishing boats go out before sunrise. They go out in the dark and come back about 11 o'clock in the morning. And all the local women come down to the boat and buy the fish fresh off the boat. Obviously catch a few shells in their nets, so they put those out if you want a shell.
Mm-hmm.
These are komboloi. These are worry beads. Now, worry beads are very common in Greece. A lot of men carry them. They kind of flick them and flip them and spin them, and kind of keeps your hands occupied. They say it's very good to help you stop smoking because it keeps your hands occupied. But they're basically just kind of a stress reliever. People just do it out of habit, and it's very common to see men doing this. They like coral, and amber are the two most popular things for worry beads because people like the way that they feel.
And this cat's saying, "Where are my worry beads?"
Another cat, yes, yes.
And that Greek white and blue, it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Lots of kitties.
Oh.
It was cute.
Did you see dogs?
You don't see a lot of dogs in
No,
Greece.
very few dogs.
Very few. We heard a couple, but I guess on the farms they might have some dogs, but not a lot.
No. We stayed at this lovely little family-run inn, which was right on the beach.
Beautiful ground. This was where you ate at the restaurant there, and you were right, literally on the beach.
Wow.
I said, who'd want a pool when the beach is, 2 minutes off the way? But actually the pool was very nice. It was very warm and clean and had great views. So we did use the pool a couple of times.
Was the ocean warm?
Yes, yes it was. Perfect,
Lovely for
perfect
swimming.
temperature.
Really nice.
So again, we had amazing hiking trails all over the island, and they're very well marked. You can see a little red and white marker there, so it's easy to stay on the trails. You go, past a lot of churches and some monasteries and lots of olive groves with ancient olive trees. That's the village of Legata up there at the top that had the most wonderful bakery. God, it was just spectacular, the stuff these guys baked. So we'd go up there and grab a piece of pastry and have a coffee and then continue on our hike.
My hike would have ended at that point.
Yeah.
I'm hiking to the bakery.
They had the best baklava I've ever eaten anywhere. It was incredible. So this is the main town on the island of Morgus. This is like the capital city or whatever. It's called Hora, and it's a medieval city of about
400 people or so?
yeah, it's about 400 people, and it has a 13th century castle that dominates it on this rock. And again, it was built in among the hills so that you can't see it from the sea. It was built to try and avoid pirates. They used this rock as a lookout to keep an eye out for invaders. And again, it's very confusing. Once you get on the little streets, they're literally up steps, down steps, around corners, and you get lost immediately. A gentleman asked me early one morning if I wanted to go see the castle, and I said sure, and he gave me this huge key. He said, knock yourself out, bring it back when you're done. And had wonderful views. You could see for miles.
So the door was really that small?
It was. It was small. Yes. Yes.
It was really that small.
And we saw it. We'll show you another door that was even smaller than that.
Yeah. But you can see that Amorgus also had some terraces. It just wasn't as defined and big. As there weren't as many of them as in Sitnos.
I took this picture to show you how many churches are in this town. I mean, literally, there's a church about every 30 feet. Almost every other building is a church. It's quite amazing. The Greeks take their religion very, very seriously.
Oh, and any excuse for a festival.
And again, you've got all different sizes. You've got big churches. You've got little teeny tiny churches that are one tiny room. They're just all sorts. And the town is very old and decrepit, and it's got, wonderful peeling doors, peeling wood, ironwork, and it's,
did they have Wi-Fi?
I have no idea.
Yes, yes.
We had Wi-Fi at our hotel.
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Oh.
yes.
I don't know whether they had any in this town. They probably did, but
Because in your pictures I don't see any satellite dishes or anything like.
no, that's right. That's true. Yeah.
But there was one village. There was one village just behind, by the hotel that we were staying at, up in the hill, that apparently had no electricity.
That's right. They said they didn't have any electricity at all. No.
So they wouldn't have done. But
Mhm.
yes, I mean they had Wi-Fi everywhere we stayed.
Yeah. I go to these villages really early in the morning, right at sunrise, and usually I'm the only person walking around the streets. There's not too many people to converse with this time of day. That's why I get these pictures with nobody in the photo. So this kind of gives you an example of how the streets kind of, suddenly off to the right, off to the left, The local police station on the right, it was very picturesque. I don't think it was open. I was there and it didn't seem to be anybody about, but they told me it was a police station. Later on, I learned.
And this was sort of like the centre square, so it was sort of right in the middle of the town. So here are the old windmills, very windy. In fact, the Cyclades is known for wind. And in winter, it is not the place that you want to be.
No.
In fact, all of these islands, I mean, they have a very small round-the-year population, you know, a couple of thousand people maybe.
And half of those leave in the wintertime. It's quite rainy and cold in the winter.
Yeah.
They did have this series of hills along the back of the village, and with all these old windmills that were derelict now, that they used to use to grind grain. It's very picturesque with the hills and the windmills behind the town.
It's just a picture showing the coastline.
It's quite a rugged island, yeah.
Are the roads 2 lanes?
Two lane, yeah, narrow and very windy. And you know, I went out at early in the morning, you know, before sunrise, so I could really put my foot down and play rally driver because there was nobody about.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much traffic on the roads at all on these small islands. Santorini was a different story, but these islands were much quieter.
Okay, we've got about 15 minutes left.
Okay, we've
It's
done.
a sunrise shot at a little chapel. But this is the main event on Amorgos. This is the monastery of Hosoviatissa. It's the second oldest monastery in Greece. It was built in 1071. Hangs on the side of a cliff. It's 1,000 feet above the ocean. The building's 120 feet high, but it's only 15 feet wide.
Whew.
It's occupied by 4 monks who welcome you with raki and Turkish delight when you get there. They have to walk over the mountain to get to Hora to buy any supplies, and they're either carried back by hand or back by donkey to the monastery. So these monks are incredibly fit.
You just froze again. It was talking about the monks. They froze us. Or maybe it was the burros having to go up the hill. Are you back? There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So again, little bitty doors to get inside.
Now, once you get in there, are the ceilings door level or higher?
Yeah, the ceilings generally were high enough, but the stairway was really narrow and it bent, you know, and you could barely, it was just barely wide enough for your shoulders. So it was very cramped to get up to each floor. Once you're on the floor, they were a little more comfortable.
Well, and also you see the monastery built into the rock, so the rock sort of was in the way of the stairway going up.
Comes into the room. Yeah. Here's one of the monks coming down. This is another little chapel that we saw near our hotel, which again is stuck on the side of a cliff, and you walk upstairs to get to it.
Oh, wow.
You get to the top, it's a spectacular view. And to go inside, that's the doorway. So you basically have to crawl into it. It's such a tiny door. Get inside. You can stand up, but it's only about an 8-foot square room. It's very small. That's what it looks like inside. It had one tiny little window.
Wow.
So this is us leaving Amorgos, and we're headed to Santorini. Santorini's a whole different story from the other places where we were.
So it's the remnant of a volcanic caldera, and really the most famous of the Greek islands. There was a huge volcanic eruption, the largest in recorded history, occurring 3,600 years ago. And they think that the eruption may have indirectly led to the collapse of the Minoan civilization on the island of Crete, because it caused a tsunami.
Oh, wow.
So we stayed in Ia, the most
kind of the most well-known village on Santorini. It's the one you see all the photographs of. it's very, very overdeveloped and very, very crowded. It's kind of in a way been a bit ruined by tourism, unfortunately.
We should have gone there in the 80s.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. This is where we stayed. We had this lovely little kind of call it a hotel. She only had a couple of rooms, but it was an older lady who was an architect that had built this herself. And they're called cave rooms. They're actually dug back into the side of the cliff, the rock.
So we're looking from like the front door.
This is from our patio. Yeah,
Okay.
this is from the front door looking in.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, did you have your own bathroom?
Yes, it's in that blue door on the left
Okay.
there. I had a shower and a toilet and a sink. It was very tiny, and that was real easy to get your head on. Yeah, you had to be careful.
Yeah, but it was very cute, and that was the view. So it really is spectacular.
Yeah, you're looking across the caldera there, and it's her patio that she had done by hand with all the rocks from the beach.
That is gorgeous. Oh.
Yeah, Santorini is, really a place for young people. A lot of nightclubs and bars and restaurants, and it's a very romantic island, to take your loved one and or to meet your loved one is the case. Whether you're a human or a cat.
That's cute.
And again, lots and lots of churches.
A lot of people come here to get married, and the Instagram crowd are there taking photos.
Yeah, a lot of wedding photographers.
A question just came in, and it says, "Is everything really that white, or do they do something to keep it white?"
The Cyclades are known for a stark white architecture, and it's not a white, it's kind of a paint, but it's almost a kind of a whitewash that's made with paint and a few other things, and they mix it up in big buckets. We saw them painting a few buildings. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they do paint them periodically to keep them clean looking.
It looks like the going colors are the white and then blue roof.
White and blue, it's the colors of the Greek
like
flag.
The flags, yeah.
Yeah, so lots and lots of churches and lots of weddings. Now, this was the gem of the island. We discovered this by accident, but it's a little town called Emporio. Emporio means trade in Greek, and originally this was the commercial center of the island, but now it's this little tiny village that sits up on a hill, and you wouldn't really know it was there unless somebody told you. But it's, again, these little tiny alleyways and steps and doors up and doors down, and it's absolutely charming, fascinating place. And we discovered this little coffee shop, and I so hope they've made it through the COVID, I don't know, but we found this wonderful gentleman and his wife that ran this coffee shop. They played great music, and they had what they called a frappe, which was coffee and ice cream. Oh, it was just to die for. So we did a walk around the village, and actually we went here 3 days running because we had such a fun time with this couple at their little coffee house.
Yeah, and they serve very good wine. Lovely wine on Greece.
So this is your traditional shot of Santorini that you see all the time if you Google it. And you can see the old windmills there, which you can stay at if you want to pay a fortune. Yeah, those are actually part of a hotel now, so you can stay there. Very expensive. And this was our last evening on the island. We had a wonderful fish dinner overlooking this. This was the view from our table. And just islands poking out of the caldera. So this was the night before we flew back to Athens and headed home.
Wow, that was fabulous. Thank you.
To save the time.
Yes, you did. Thank you so very, very much for doing that. I'm clapping for everybody. It was delightful, informative, and I can't wait to get to Greece. So maybe soon we'll get past this pandemic and be able to travel again. Where would you, what's next on your bucket list?
Well, we're hoping to go to England in August and September because Sarah's parents are having their 60th wedding anniversary. So we've booked it. We've got our fingers crossed. We don't know whether it's going to happen or not. But
So while you're there, will you go to Scotland or Ireland or?
yes, yeah, we're going to rent a car. We're going to go down to Devon and Cornwall, which were two of my favorite counties in the southwest part of the UK. And then up through the Lake District in the north, and then hopefully have a week or so to travel around Scotland, a week and a half in Scotland.
Well, Linda, who's out in the audience, sends you a thank you and says that she really enjoys it. So I echo that sentiment. So thank you.
Well, and just let people know that if they've got questions, you've got all of the contact information and website and stuff that we use to do the research, Margaret. So people can get in contact with you for that.
All right, will do. And let me see. I want to thank you guys again, and then I want to thank Stephen and Ann who are here with me this evening. Couldn't do it without them. And my sister, I think she's on, who made me my apron. And to my husband Philip, who I think was on for maybe a brief bit, he said he was going to nominate my song for a Grammy. Always the kidder, right? And to everybody that tuned in tonight, thank you on behalf of our the Donor Relations Department and Valley Life's President and CEO, Cletus Tebow, and our board of directors. I'm Margaret Stevens-Reed saying thank you and good night, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.